Every machine we have ever sent to the surface of this planet died. Not crashed, died. Cooked, crushed, and dissolved, most of them in under 2 hours. The ground below us right now is 464 degrees. The air is so heavy it would crush your chest like a submarine hull. And it is raining acid. This is Venus, and it is the closest thing to hell that actually exists. So let me tell you the strangest fact in this entire series. 50 kilometers above that molten ground, in the middle of those poisonous clouds, there is a layer where the pressure is exactly the same as the room you are sitting in, and the temperature is a mild 27 degrees. Venus has a habitable zone. It just isn't on the planet. It's in the sky. And if life ever got a foothold here, it would have been forced to become something that has never existed on Earth. Something that is born, feeds, breeds, and dies without ever once touching the ground. Watch. But first, the rules. Because on this channel, we never start with the creature, we start with the physics, and the physics decides everything that follows. Rule 1. Temperature. The surface of Venus sits at 464 degrees Celsius. That is hot enough to melt lead. And here's the part that catches people out. Venus is not the closest planet to the Sun. Mercury is. Venus is hotter than Mercury everywhere, all the time, because of what is sitting on top of it. Rule 2. Pressure. The atmosphere is 92 times heavier than the air you're breathing. Standing on Venus would feel exactly like standing 900 meters beneath the ocean. Not uncomfortable, instantly fatal. Rule 3. Chemistry. That atmosphere is almost pure carbon dioxide, and floating in it is a permanent deck of clouds made not of water, but of concentrated sulfuric acid. And Rule 4, the strangest one. Venus turns backwards, and it turns so slowly that a single day here lasts 243 Earth days, longer than its own year. 4 rules, and together they build the most hostile solid surface we know of anywhere. So let's be blunt about the surface, because I am not going to sell you a fantasy. Nothing lives down there, and it is worth understanding exactly why, because the reason is not the heat itself, it is what heat does to information. Life, at its root, is chemistry that remembers. It needs long, fragile molecules that hold a pattern and copy it. On Earth, that's DNA. It doesn't have to be DNA, but it has to be something. And at 464 degrees, every long molecule we know of, and every long molecule chemistry allows, simply shakes itself apart. The bonds do not hold. You cannot store a pattern in a furnace. Add the pressure, add the acid, add the fact that there has been no liquid water on that surface for perhaps 1 billion years. And the verdict is not unlikely. It's no. The surface of Venus is a genuine dead end. And every honest astrobiologist will tell you the same, which is exactly why the interesting answer isn't down there. It's up, because on Venus, the moment you start climbing, everything changes, and it changes faster than you would believe. Here's the fact that reframes this entire planet. Start at that molten surface and climb. At 10 kilometers, still lethal. At 30, still hundreds of degrees. But keep going. At 50 kilometers up, the pressure has fallen to roughly 1 Earth atmosphere, the exact pressure at sea level on Earth. And at 55 kilometers, the temperature settles at around 27 degrees Celsius. Read that again. Room temperature, normal pressure, 55 kilometers above the worst place in the solar system, there is a layer of Venus that, in terms of pressure and temperature, is the most Earth-like environment anywhere off our planet. More Earth-like than Mars. More Earth-like than any moon. And it gets better because of a quirk of chemistry almost nobody knows. Venus's atmosphere is heavy carbon dioxide. Ordinary breathable air, nitrogen and oxygen, is lighter than that, which means on Venus, a balloon filled with plain Earth air floats. Breathable air is a lifting gas here, so the physics is handing us something extraordinary. A mild, stable, buoyant layer sitting 50 kilometers above a dead world. There is only one problem. That beautiful layer is made of acid. So meet the first Venusians. I call them the sky drifters, and every part of them is dictated by that layer. Problem 1, they must never sink. Fall 10 kilometers and they cook. So a drifter is mostly not body at all, it's envelope. A vast, thin, gas-filled sac holding lighter gases against the heavy carbon dioxide around it, giving it permanent lift. It doesn't fly. Flying costs energy. It floats, the way a jellyfish floats, and it does it for its entire life. Problem 2, the acid. Their outer skin cannot be anything like ours. It would have to be a thick, waxy shell, chemically inert, the kind of armor that acid simply beads up and rolls off. And we already know molecules that behave this way. Problem 3, they need to stay in the good layer. So a drifter would ride the winds, and the winds here are astonishing. Venus's atmosphere super rotates. It whips around the entire planet in just 4 days, 60 times faster than the planet itself turns. So the drifters would circle the whole world every 4 days, endlessly, riding one enormous permanent current, gentle, patient giants in a sky that never stops moving, and beneath them hang long trailing filaments, because they are fishing for something. So what does anything eat up here? There's no soil, no ocean, no prey to begin with, but there is something better. Above the clouds, unfiltered sunlight, and Venus gets nearly twice the sunlight Earth does. So the base of this food web is exactly what you'd expect, things that eat light. But they cannot be green plants. They live inside droplets of concentrated sulfuric acid, so their chemistry has to run on sulfur, not water. And here is where this stops being speculation and gets genuinely uncomfortable. Venus has a real, unexplained mystery in its clouds. There are dark patches up there, enormous drifting streaks that absorb roughly half of all the ultraviolet light hitting the planet. We have known about them for over 60 years. We have never identified what they are made of. They appear, spread, and fade on timescales of days. They cluster at exactly the altitude where conditions are mild. And on Earth, when we see patches that absorb light, spread, and fade in our own atmosphere and oceans, they are usually alive. Nobody is claiming these are, but nobody has explained them either. So picture them as the pastures of Venus, vast drifting blooms of acid-dwelling life, soaking up ultraviolet. The drifters trail their filaments through those blooms and feed. And where there's a herd feeding, there is always something else. Every ecosystem grows a hunter, and here the hunt has a beautiful shape. A sky hunter cannot chase. Chasing costs energy nobody has, but it has something better. Gravity is free. So the hunter rides higher than the herd, spots a drifter below, collapses its envelope, and falls. A controlled dive, using the one force on this planet that costs nothing. Then it reinflates and climbs slowly back. Death from above, powered by weight alone. But the real problem for everything up here isn't predators. It's falling. Droplets in a cloud do not stay put. They grow, they get heavy, and they sink. And below the mild layer, it gets hotter every kilometer. So any life riding in those droplets is on a conveyor belt to the furnace. And this is where real Venus research offers the most elegant answer in this whole episode. Scientists have proposed an actual life cycle for the Venusian clouds, Up in the mild layer, the organisms live, feed, and multiply inside their droplets. The droplet grows too heavy and sinks. As it falls into the heat, the organism dries out, hardens, and goes completely dormant, a sealed armored spore. It drifts in that dry haze layer, waiting. Then the churning atmosphere lifts it back up. It meets fresh droplets, rehydrates, and wakes. Drift, sink, sleep, rise, wake. Not a food chain, a water cycle made of life. And the entire biosphere hangs in the air forever. So how much of this is real? Let's separate it cleanly. The physics is not in question. The mild layer at 55 kilometers is measured fact. We have flown probes through it. Soviet balloons drifted in those clouds for 2 days in 1985. That layer is simply there. The chemistry is not in question either. Life that thrives in acid is ordinary on Earth. There are microbes living happily at pH 0, in acid strong enough to dissolve metal, in volcanic springs and mine drainage. Life that survives as a dormant spore for years and revives is completely routine, and life suspended in clouds is real. We find living microbes in Earth's atmosphere, metabolizing inside water droplets right now. Then there's the genuinely contested part. In 2020, a team announced they had detected phosphine in Venus's clouds, a gas that on Earth is produced almost only by life. It set the field on fire, and then other teams reanalyzed the data and could not confirm it. That detection is disputed, and I'm not going to tell you it's a discovery, because it isn't. But the unexplained ultraviolet absorber is still unexplained 60 years on. So the honest position on Venus is not yes. It is. The habitat is confirmed to exist. The biology is confirmed to be possible, and the only thing missing is a look. So picture that drifter one more time. 55 kilometers above a surface that would kill it in seconds, floating in a cloud of acid, circling its entire world every 4 days, and never once in its life coming down. None of this is confirmed. All of it is permitted. By physics, by chemistry, and by biology we have already found on Earth. And notice what Venus actually did to the question. We did not find a way for life to survive that surface, because there isn't one. We found that life would simply leave. Given a lethal floor and a mild ceiling, evolution doesn't fight the floor. It lets go of it entirely. That is the lesson this planet hands us, and it is going to matter for every world left in this series. Because next we go to a planet that is not too hot, not crushing, and not made of acid. A world that once had rivers, lakes, and a thick warm sky, and then lost all of it. Mars didn't start hostile. Mars died. And that raises a far more unsettling question than anything Venus asked. If life did get started there, is it gone or is it just hiding? So tell me, do you think Mars is dead or waiting? Put it in the comments and subscribe to First Principles Talk because we're going there next.